What's up, everybody? It's yours truly, Air Raid Mike here, your host of the Unscripted, Unfiltered, 100% authentic podcast. Congrats, you are halfway through the week, and if you're listening to it, whether it's a Thursday um, when we release it, or into the weekend, congrats, you made it to the weekend. But whenever you're listening to it, congrats on whatever day that you're listening, you made it that far. I have a fun show for you today. And on today's show, we have the honor of having Miss Danielle, who is the executive producer for WEBN News in Boston, and a intern for WHDH 7 News Sports as well in Boston, and up and coming, I would say young, talented in the sports business. Women in sports, I think, should definitely continue to be a movement, and we should see it throughout 24. But without further ado, let me introduce to you, out of respect, I won't say your last name because I'm going to butcher it regardless. Welcome into the air raid, Miss Danielle. Danielle, how are you tonight? And first off, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here and talk a little bit about Boston sports and just a little bit of everything.
Indeed, Boston sports, and on my end, as I mentioned, pre-game or pre-show, I should say, being a Yankee fan, Yankee in Boston don't really jive, but I do respect the entire Metro, all the entire Boston teams, of course, all of them with historical and traditional, winning traditions. I know for the Patriots, it's been a rough few years, but you guys, the Boston sports market is phenomenal, and you can't but respect that area.
It's definitely something. I'm happy to be a part of the history here.
Hey, that's a good market. And to kick things off, tell the listeners a little about yourself and what, I guess, to start off with a little, question about life, if you will. What inspired you to pursue sports and work in sports?
Yeah, ever since I was like a young child, I was introduced to the world of sports because of my family. And growing up in Georgia, we were big NASCAR fans when I was growing up, and it was the time of Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson. So I grew up watching them all the time, every weekend. And that was the first major sport that I was really into. And then as I started to grow up, I started to explore other sports. And around my middle school year, is when I really transitioned as to a Boston sports fan.
Very
And
nice.
obviously, that was just a great time for Boston sports. And that kind of made me fall in love with it. And I combined my passions of wanting to do something performance wise with sports, and sports broadcasting is what we landed on.
Very nice. And I'm, obviously followed you for a short amount of time, but the fact of what you're doing already and is impressive. And the sky's the limit, as I always tell everybody. And that's awesome because women in sports, for some reason, especially if you're on X or Twitter, whatever you call it nowadays, for some reason there's a lot of guys out there that just don't like women in sports. It's an interesting topic that's could literally be a whole entire show in itself. But that's awesome. That's really, really awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it is interesting seeing like the at least backlash in the comments I've gotten from people already. And I mean, they could say what they want, but I'm just kind of jealous we have a cool job.
Hey, I'm not definitely not hating. I think that's one of a job that many envy, and I think many that wish they had it can't. And the haters are gonna keep hating, and you keep grinding and making it big time as us quarterback coaches sit on the couch. But to kick things off, Danielle, we do have breaking news. Last week it was Nick Saban in Alabama. Nick Saban retiring. Of course, this week Bill Belichick stepping away was news, which we'll touch base as well in the show. But Dallas going to go ahead and keep Mike McCarthy, which to me is a shocker, simply because I was thinking Bill Belichick could have been the guy down in Dallas. Um, Jim Harbaugh, I don't know if he would have been a good fit for that, but Your thoughts on Dallas, of course, being ousted, which I think is hilarious, being ousted in the first in the first round pretty handily to a team that was quarterly in the playoffs in Green Bay. But what's your take on this? In my opinion, surprise move by Dallas.
I agree it is a surprise move because I honestly thought he was done. There was no way that I thought he kept his coaching job after the past season, and it was just kind of classic Cowboys to go into the playoffs and give every single one of their fans hope and them say again once again it's their
Yep.
year, and once again they've lost to the Packers, a team that they have very traumatic history for, to say the least. And I must say, I was also on the train of Bill Belichick going to the Cowboys. It seems like he would be the perfect fit for them. It seems like him and Jerry Judy would have, or not Jerry, sorry, excuse me, Jerry Jones, the
Hey, Jerry
JJs.
Judy may like Bill Belichick, so you never know.
Exactly. Jerry Jones, and him would have a good relationship, I would think, but, it's kind of a surprising move to me, and what it is honestly showing me is that there's way more of a chance of
Mhm.
Bill Belichick going to the Falcons now that that didn't happen, because I felt like the 2 landing spots for him were really the Falcons and the Cowboys. So, the Cowboys being out of it, I think Falcons should feel pretty good about themselves right now.
Yeah, it's funny that he wants to go to a team that's talented, but work in progress. And Atlanta's the team. You got Ritter at the quarterback position. You're unsure really about what you got with him, and the list goes on. But let's just play devil's advocate. Assume that Bill Belichick does in fact go to Atlanta. Do they forgive him on that 28-3? Do they forget about the Super Bowl by chance, or are they still? Is that still going to be in the back of the head?
I mean, it might be, but I mean, having Bill Belichick as a coach, you can't say no to that opportunity, especially with
Oh
all that
no.
young offensive talent. I think they should be looking to do the 28-3 to everybody else in the league, and I feel like it would be kind of revenge for them. I feel like they would kind of take the world by storm.
I think Atlanta fans. I got quite a bit of them that listen in, but just let it go, as Frozen would say. As half the country's below freezing, just let it go. Speaking of Bill Belichick, moving to Bill Belichick, Danielle, I want to say what went wrong because Bill Belichick in New England was phenomenal, successful, six Super Bowls. I can't even add up all the wins he had. I'm just New England itself. Um, I believe it was obviously over 300 in his final years after, let's just say, post Tom Brady. Um, what was the deciding factor that it was time for New England to part ways with one of the greatest to coach, not just in New England but in the NFL? What in your opinion was the deciding factor? Like, hey, we gotta make a change, get a new look, and focus to the future of Foxborough.
I think, I mean, obviously, this was a very hard decision for
Right.
Kraft to make because they obviously have a good history together. They have a great relationship and everything. But I think what really stands out to me, fan as a Boston journalist, is Bill Belichick as a manager compared to Belichick as a coach. I think he is still a good coach. Obviously, we've seen it happen before. We've seen all the 6 Super
Hmm.
Bowls that he and his team has won. But the managing side of things after Tom Brady, even before Tom Brady left, it was always questionable. But you let
Oh,
it slide because
absolutely.
you have Tom Brady and you're winning Super Bowls constantly. And when you're constantly winning and winning division after division after division, it doesn't matter. You can have questionable choices, but if it all works and you have Tom Brady throwing the
Hmm.
ball, it's no big deal. And once Tom Brady left, I think it exposed a lot of those things. And I think a lot of people came to realization that he is not a great manager. He is a good coach. And we really saw that, especially over the past few years, especially this season. I mean, we've seen Chad Ryland as a draft pick who decided to make almost none of his kicks,
Yep.
and we've seen N'Keal Harry as draft picks, and those are just 2 main standouts when I think of them. The list goes on, and I'm not gonna waste our entire show doing that. But I think at some point when our team is constantly failing because of these decisions and it just started to pile up, I think it was just time to cut the cords loose. I mean, 4 wins is not something that Bill Belichick is used to, and Kraft is not used to. Kraft wants to win, Belichick wants to win,
Hmm.
however, he's not making the right decisions to get there. So I think If he goes somewhere that he can just be the coach and someone else can make managing decisions, I think that's wonderful, and I think he will go back to succeeding like he used to.
I obviously it's we got hit with the Nick Saban, then we got Bill. I think Pete Carroll was before Bill. Is it the age? Is it the Hall of Famers? Of course. Are we just going to start seeing younger coaches in the NFL? I mean, obviously Nick. I think that was more of a shocker. I think than Mike McCarthy staying at Dallas. But Bill, how am I going to put this? Because I respect the heck out of Bill. Bill is one of those guys that you just hated to see part ways with because he's done a lot for New England. There's what ifs. What if Drew Bledsoe never got hurt? Here comes Tom Brady in 2001. Who knows? I couldn't tell you what would have happened. But in Bill Belichick, obviously greatest in New England history, where would you rank him nationally when it comes to the NFL greatest coaches?
Oh,
I know that's a tough
I
one because you got
mean,
a lot of good ones.
yeah, there's so many good ones.
Top 10 for
I
sure, at
don't
least.
know. Oh, 100%. He's top 5 in my top 3. Um,
Ooh,
just because of what he went on to do, and obviously Tom Brady was a big part of that, but also
right.
you can't discount coaching, and no other coach has won 6 Super Bowls, and I know many people say that, but it's true, and the schemes that he drew up and really the Patriot way that was so successful was keeping your offense on the field
Mm-hmm.
for so long and keeping your defense on the field for so minimum amount of time, and that's how you win games no matter what, and
Yep.
we've seen that now with some of the more up and coming teams, and we've seen it. I think the Bills are especially good at it, is they will waste your time. So your defense is on the field, and by the 3rd quarter, the defense is done. There's nothing you can do. And that was purely what that 28-3 Super Bowl win was. So when it comes to schemes like that and coming up with drives that are so long that purely win you the game, it stands out to me as a coach. So not just the 6 Super Bowls as well, but yeah, he's definitely, I'd say top 3 in my eyes.
Now I will. I'm gonna do this, and it's nothing. I'm not taking a jab at Bill Belichick. Bill finishes 10-14 against Denver. From a non-biased standpoint, in your opinion, because I could go on, and I'm definitely not going to waste your time or everybody else's, because it's the same rant that was said about 2-3 weeks ago with Russ. What went wrong, or what is going on? What is wrong, or what went wrong with the Russ experience in Denver from an outsider, no affiliation or a fan of the Broncos or of any sort? Did Russ get in over his head, or is this just be patient, Bronco Nation or Broncos country, and obviously might be a little too late because rumors are supposed to be cut in March, could be restructured in March. We don't really know. But if in fact Russ is gone, what went wrong with that Russ experience, and where in the world does he land? And what is Denver? I mean, we're starting to be like the Cleveland Browns here with a humongous list of quarterback that we could probably add to somebody's, probably Tim Tebow's jersey at this point.
I think, first of all, I think I was one of the very first people to say this. As soon as the trade happened and
Mm-hmm.
Russell Wilson became a Bronco, I said, guys, this is not going to be a successful offense.
No.
And people were not understanding my thought process on that. I said he was coming off of an injury at the time. It was a toe injury, but
Mm-hmm.
be that may, he didn't play that many games before coming in here. So he was already just a little bit rusty. We also need to mark that he is starting to get older, so he's not going to play like prime time Russell Wilson that we've seen
Yep.
before. And I think automatically everybody saw Russell Wilson on the Broncos and said, "This is it. This is perfect. We're going to see Russell Wilson like we did at the beginning of his career, and this is it for the Broncos. They're going to win their division, everything." And I just sat back and I stated my case as to why I didn't believe, and not to say I was right, but I was kind of right.
So
and
what
I
you're
was
telling me, Danielle, is we have you to blame, really, for all of this?
maybe, yeah, maybe.
I'm just kidding.
It
Yeah,
just it wasn't a good fit, I don't think.
all you listeners out there, whether you're watching live now or which I can see your numbers, the numbers. I know you guys are watching. Whether you're watching now or listening, it's just a joke. So please don't literally at her, please. I mean, that's ridiculous. I'm sure somebody will probably. No, I'm with you on that one. It's, I think in Denver, of course, being a fan of it, it's been frustrating the last few years and then some. But I think the biggest mistake was George Payton immediately extending his contract when he got here. I think without snapping the ball, I think that was the biggest mistake. And I think a lot of times, I know Sean Payton, people are questioning that, but I think the real Payton is George is the one that should be under the microscope, at least for the um, time being, simply because he's the one that triggered the move to extend Russ. And then I know Clyde's going to hate me for this, but I'm going to go back to this: is the offensive line just has not been great for Denver, and it hasn't been great in a very long time. Really, even in the Super Bowl 50 year, even though Peyton, I love Peyton Manning to death, but boy, that was some bad football. Um, he was age caught to him real bad. But phenomenal career, of course. But the offensive line's been a great. Not saying that it would have helped if Drew Lock was quarterback or the rest of the 17 other ones that we've had try out, but um, the O line just hasn't been great. And you know, Jerry Judy, I know he was frustrated in the receiving core. They got talent, but it's tough to try to do something. We have no O line, but Danielle, I don't know what to really think of the whole shebang, just simply because I mean Denver's going to be dead. They're going to lose a lot of money on this if they decide to cut them, and free agency may be a little dull this year.
Yeah, it's not a good situation if you're Denver, and even if you, for some reason, decide to just move forward with him, I don't think you're going to see any different results. So you're kind of looking for a change in any way, I feel like here, but I don't know. I mean, something needs to change. But like you said, the offensive line, I would 100% agree with that because it doesn't matter who you have as quarterback. If your offensive line can't get it done, nobody is going to succeed. And that's plain and simple.
Yep. No, phenomenal defense. Even though Vance Joseph, I'm shocked as to why he's back, but phenomenal defense for the most part. O line needs to be, Mike Munchak. They haven't been good since then, but I'm sure wherever Russ ends up, he will be perfectly fine. Of course, quarterback position, New England. Mac Jones. It's been ugly for him, poor guy. I think he got benched more than he's probably played at this point. I don't know his contract at this point, but is Mac gonna just get cut, or what's the word around for Mac? Poor Mac.
I don't know what they're necessarily looking at,
Right.
especially with new coaching change as well. I think the likelihood of him staying on our roster is very high, and he's just gonna be a backup position. I think it's gonna be whoever we bring in from the draft, assuming we draft
Mhm.
somebody,
Right.
and then Zappy, and then 3rd string Mac, I think, and I but I don't know, unless for some reason we decide to cut him or we it's not like you're gonna get anything for him, so
No.
it's not really so I feel like he's just gonna possibly just sit on our roster. I don't really know where he goes, but it was really upsetting to me watching a good quarterback who had a lot of potential
Mhm.
just absolutely go down the drain, and it was just because of the way we managed him and with the constant starting and stopping him throughout his first 2 years as a quarterback, and then continuing that. I mean, once you do that once or twice and you get booed off of the field, your
Mhm.
confidence is shot, and that is a huge thing is your mental state as a quarterback, and I think that was part of his issues is really his mental state because of how New England acted and then how the coaching was as well around him. So, I don't see him ever really being a starter for the Patriots ever again unless our other 2 quarterbacks get hurt for some reason, but I think he's gonna be taking very minimal snaps in New England.
I'm with you on who would trade for him. Number one, I don't know who would. Number two, You might get a 6th round pick, 5th round pick out of him, maybe at very best. But does how should I word this guy? Really, I mean, he's a talented kid.
I
Um, how should I word this without being so mean to him?
know.
Pres- Would if Josh McDaniels came back as OC for New England, would that be beneficial for him that Josh is his OC, or is he just gonna, or could he just maybe fly a kite and have better success? I
I
really
think
don't
it
know.
would I feel like it would be beneficial for him, for sure. However, there's just no way that anybody on the Patriots staff is looking to him for starting right
Oh
now.
Lord, no. Mm-mm.
There's just so I feel like that might be beneficial, but what, you move up to you're you're the backup quarterback instead of third string, like, it's not gonna be that much of a difference for him really at that point.
Hey, put it this way: he could be a practice squad quarterback like Joe Flacco, and maybe
Never know.
make you know.
Maybe he'll come out of the shadows in, like, 2 years and lead us to the playoffs, who knows?
Speaking of speaking of playoffs, phenomenal, I guess you want to call it that, phenomenal. Um, an interesting first round, if you will. I think it's hilarious. Dallas got cremated by Green Bay. You know, nothing against Dallas. I mean, I and for all you Cowboy Nation fans out there, I totally get it. You guys made the playoffs and Denver didn't. Hey, that's perfectly fine. But the fact that you guys lost to Green Bay is even more more hilarious. But Green Bay taking care of Dallas, Baker doing Baker things in Tampa, upset, even though it really wouldn't be much of an upset, just simply because Philly lost 6 of the last 7 after starting 10-1, some ridiculous record from there. But then you got on the AFC, of course, Houston throttling Cleveland, which I didn't see that coming, and then Kansas City in a freezer match with Miami and Buffalo, which I didn't think they were ever going to play that game in Buffalo. And kudos to all the Buffalo fans and workers and whoever else that dug up all that snow. Because I'll be honest with you, Daniel, Oklahoma City, we don't get that much snow, not like they got. I would be, I would be so pissed off if we out here shoveling snow 5-6 hours. You make somewhat of a dent, and then here comes about 2 more feet of it or whatever crap it ended up being. I would be just so irritated. But going back to the playoffs, what caught your eye as a football fan, journalist, and just playoff action? I know for me, I thought Kansas City was going to lose, but they didn't. For me, is more so really how Baker and Tampa dominated Philly, even though Philly was fizzling headed into the playoffs. Dallas losing, I think, was one. AFC, I mean, I guess you can go Cleveland was a little shocker. Not really, but a little shocker. But what caught your eye in the first round as we preview the division around this weekend?
First of all, going back to that Dolphins-Chiefs game, I thought it was gonna be way closer. The
I
26
did
to
too.
7 was
Yeah.
shocking to me, and I don't know if
Yep.
that's just, like, Dolphins don't know how to play in the cold. I maybe, but, like, it was just very underwhelming.
Yep.
I was really excited for that. I mean, kinda glad it was what it was because I wasn't able to watch it since it was on Peacock, so at least I didn't miss, like, the matchup of the century or something that happens like that, but, was a little bit surprised to see the Miami Dolphins offense just not show up, especially because
Hmm.
I have been very against the Chiefs going into the playoffs. They have just looked like a team that's, I'm like, they're just not gonna be surprising in the playoffs, and I kinda thought, "Oh, yeah, they're gonna get blown out." I thought it was gonna be competitive, but they're gonna definitely lose. So I was wrong there.
Same here.
But yeah, that Buccaneers team looks so complete right now, and
Hmm.
I started to see that towards the end of the season, and when we were deciding who or when we were seeing who was gonna win the NFC South, and it was a huge everybody was like, "Oh, somebody's gonna win it," and then the Bucks just came out of nowhere and started being like, "Okay, you know what? We got this," and just started
Hmm.
to heat up. and their entire offense works well together. Everything is like it's just all the puzzle pieces are just fitting in right now for the Bucks, and I don't have like any specific like reasoning behind it or like why
Uh,
because I wasn't expecting it.
no.
um, but hey, I think it's great, and I don't know how far they can make it. I'm not gonna say that they're gonna make a super deep run here. I think the Buccaneers Lions matchup is going to be great because I'm a big fan of this Lions team as well. But yeah, I feel like also Baker Mayfield looks like he did a few years ago when everybody was
Yep.
like, "Oh, Baker Mayfield." I feel like he's just back to his primetime moment, it seems like. It feels like he got second wind or something here in Tampa Bay. So, I mean, I just remember at the beginning of the season, everybody being like, "Oh, Baker Mayfield went to the Buccaneers. Whoop-de-doo. Doesn't mean anything."
Hmm.
I think it means something now considering he's leading the team pretty far into the playoffs. They could make a playoff run, but I don't know. This Lions game is gonna be very interesting.
No, you're right about that. Coach Zablocky, huge fan of the show and great friend overall. But I know he posted a selfie and posted it on Instagram and all the other medias he's got. Why? And hey, don't take me wrong. Don't don't get me wrong. I should say, don't take me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy for the Detroit fan base. I mean, what Barry Sanders up and left you without giving you guys a reason, and really the whole organization fell apart since. So, um, it's kind of like the Cubs. I'm not knocking them, but kind of like the Cubs. You win the World Series and haven't won in hundred something years, and then now you're back to not winning it for another hundred something years. But um, no, phenomenal fan. I'm happy for Detroit. They look great. I thought, I'm going to eat my words. I did think the Rams was going to win just because Sean McVay playoffs. They've been there, done that. Great receiving core. I just thought the Rams were going to take care of it, but it's going to be an interesting matchup. They haven't, now you're going to, if you're Detroit, you're going to continue to add more playoff wins to your resume. I mean, it's been 30 something years. It was 30 years or so since you last won a playoff game or won the division, made the playoffs, hosted playoffs, and won a playoff. So this is going to be interesting. You got Tampa. Now you got Detroit. Does Detroit's hype continue to carry them into the potential NFC championship game? Could be. I know the opening line, I think I saw is 6 or 7 for this one. This is going to be interesting. Um, Tampa, like you mentioned, Danielle, is riding a hot streak of their own. I think winning 6 of the last 7 or 7 of the last 8, somewhere in that ball frame. Winning big against defending NFC champions. So this is going to be really interesting. Tampa, Baker being a OU kid. Of course, I got to root for him. Detroit, just you can't hate Detroit. I mean, I guess you could, but what they're doing right now, it's going to be. I kind of want to see them make it just because. Do they have a chance to host the NFC Championship game? I don't know. Green Bay would have to win. Okay, forget that. Maybe they'll do it again. I don't know. But can you imagine what it would feel like if, let's say, Green Bay upsets San Fran and then Detroit takes care of Buffalo takes care of Tampa? They could literally host the NFC Championship game, and Detroit could literally like explode in a good way. Um, come what next not this upcoming Sunday, next Sunday. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. I would love to see them go far because I'm a huge fan of Amon Ra. I mean, can't not like that guy.
Yep.
He's so amazing. What he does
Yep.
is incredible. And all the fantasy games that he's saved me, I feel like I owe him the respect to cheer for him in the playoffs.
The first person on the show that actually gives respect to the players for fantasy and then respects them back. I like that. That's a pretty. I like that move. And plus, how can you not go against Dan Campbell? Phenomenal job he's done in Detroit. Um, Now on the AFC side, I'm sad Kansas City won. I really thought they weren't going to. Buffalo, it was Buffalo. what I'm surprised is Mike Tomlin's still sticking around with Pittsburgh. Um, I will say, not yeah, coaching wise, Pittsburgh. Now to Buffalo, Josh Allen, can he finally beat Kansas City when it actually matters? That's really the key to this game. Um, if he wants to be considered a great quarterback, I'm going to say this is going to ride. I hate saying this right now. His legacy right now is on the line on this weekend.
I mean, it's a fair thing to say at this point because we've seen enough of Josh Allen where he's played it a good amount of games. He's been here before, and his reputation currently is cannot win in playoffs. They
Mm-hmm.
can get super close, but never seal the deal, which is fine. You can be that team if
Well,
you
yeah,
want, but that's not a reputation you want to keep. And I have said this all year round, but this is the Bills' last chance. If they do not make it to the Super Bowl, they're not going to until they
no,
have an
mm-mm.
entire new roster many years gone. It won't be with Josh Allen. This is the time to do it. And I don't know if he can. It has been such an up and down year for him, and it has every season. I love watching him play. He
Mm-hmm.
has great talent, and the every single week he shocks me because he doesn't seem like he'd be a runner and he'll run it for 20 yards and it works out perfectly for him. And it still shocks me because it seems like he shouldn't be a running and mobile quarterback, but he is. So I applaud him. However, I don't know. This is such a toss-up game for me. Like I can see it going either way. Both teams are 11-6, so it
Mm-hmm.
would make sense. I can't say I feel super confident in either team though. So, it might be it's gonna come down to which quarterback performs better, and in these situations, I prefer to root for Patrick Mahomes. He is a little bit more calm under pressure. We've seen him get it done before. He's more reliable, it seems like. However, I don't know. Maybe Josh can try to break the streak here.
You know, I know what was a few years back might have been sooner than what it was. I do believe that they got robbed in the one playoff game, but you know, I say for Josh Allen, if he wants to beat Kansas City, this is his year because Kansas City just they don't have that Kansas City X factor like they did with when Tyreek was there. Because you had to guard Tyreek, you had a double cover Travis, and this list goes on. I'm still going to go out on the limb, and I don't know where you stand on this one. I'm going to stay on the limb and say, ever since Taylor Swift has been a part of this whole freaking thing, this Kansas City team, um, it's just not Kansas City. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know. Um, I don't know if Andy Reid's his time's finally now catching them up with them. Maybe people are starting to figure out Patty Mahomes. The list goes on. Maybe they do miss Tyreek. Maybe Tyreek was the missing piece that all along was the glue to this offense. I really don't know. Phenomenal offensive line. Um, I'm with you though. This is gonna be really interesting. Josh Allen needs to win to really clarify him as a top 10 quarterback. Buffalo, I feel bad for the fan base anyway. I'm gonna go Buffalo just because I don't like Kansas City on this one.
That's so fair. It's such a hard
It
game to
is.
say. I haven't been this, like, confused at a game because I just can't like, both of them, I'm like, "Ah, I just don't see
Well,
them neither of them have that factor that I
mm-mm.
feel like so I feel like no matter who goes on, I don't they're not gonna go to the Super Bowl, I don't think either one of them, but
No.
those words
Mm-mm.
are gonna come back to bite me, I feel like.
Well, I upset a Kansas City fan last week, and they made it known on the DM that and we're good friends. He's a good dude, but a little upset with what I said. Apparently, what I said last week when I said that had Denver been Denver that we thought that they were going to be, Kansas City's actually sitting at home and not in the playoffs because up until Sean Payton benched Russell Wilson, we were still theoretically, in the AFC West division race, even though there probably wasn't much of a race anyway. But we were still there anyway. So I guess give it credit to Russell Wilson, Chief fans, that you guys are where you're at. But no, I'm with you on that. It's going to be a very interesting game. I don't think either team, whoever wins, don't think it's going to make the playoffs or the Super Bowl. I'm tired, the Super Bowl. But on the other side of the AFC, Houston, phenomenal young quarterback, rookie quarterback, and C.J. Stroud, DeMarco Ryan, phenomenal coach. First year has D'Amico Ryan has absolutely just taken this, no pun intended, but taken the bull by its horns and has just started something special in Houston. But they get the pleasure of playing Lamar Jackson. Of course, Lamar, welcome back in the postseason for Lamar. In my opinion, probably going to win the MVP. I don't know who else you would probably grab up there, even though C.J. Stroud should be in the mix. I think this is his first postseason game since 2020. So, what are you looking at? Of course, have you seen these real quick? Have you seen these conspiracy theories about the Super Bowl logo by chance?
I have about the colors of who's gonna match up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I've
It
seen those.
originally was Kansas. Who was it? It was I think it was Kansas City and Dallas. I think the colors of Kansas City and
I think so.
I know Kansas City was in it. I think Dallas was the other one. And then either midway or towards the end of maybe week 13 ish, maybe. Don't quote me on that one. Um, they changed the colors, and a lot of people believe it's San Francisco and Baltimore. I don't
Mhm.
know. We'll see. If both teams win, then hey, I guess it's legit. I don't know, but but Baltimore always finds a way to lose when it matters most. Does Houston keep the Cinderella, or do we finally kick Cinderella to the curb and the leading pack of the NFL goes where they belong?
As much as it would be really fun to see CJ Stroud knock off the Ravens in his first year in the playoffs and the first year in the NFL, I don't see it happening. This Ravens team has looked so incredible
Yep.
throughout the season. And going into the playoffs, I felt very strongly that there was no team that could win against them. Obviously, we'll see. By I'd say since like week 14 or 13, I've been saying that Ravens are gonna win it all just
Oh
because of
yeah.
how complete they just look so complete, and I just don't see any other team this put together, and they have like if they have a fix for everything. There aren't any, at least to my eyes, there aren't any major holes that can be seen, and they have a team that is very adaptable, and you notice that, and, "Oh,
Hmm.
this play doesn't work. We're not gonna continue to try this same play over and over
Yep.
again like some of the other teams in the playoffs." They are one of those to quickly realize, "That didn't work. We're going to adapt our entire scheme now. You're not going to figure us out."
Hmm.
Because they are always changing things. They change things week to week in this offense, it seems like. I feel very confident in Lamar, and I feel like he also has something to prove because of his history in the playoffs. But I feel like people haven't been talking about that as much because of Josh Allen,
Yep.
his consistency in the playoffs. So I feel like now that all the pressure isn't on Lamar, he has time to sit back and say, okay, confidently, I can lead this team and I can make my name again exactly how I want it to be. And I feel like that's what he's going to do. He's very calm under pressure. And oh, no, this doesn't work out. I'll run it in for a touchdown myself
Hmm.
because he is fast as hell.
Yep.
So as much as I love this Texans team and I'm very proud of how far they've gone, and CJ Stroud, absolutely insane quarterback. I cannot wait to see him the rest of his career. This Ravens team's just something else. So nothing against the Texans. I don't know how they figure out the Ravens scheme.
No, I'm with you on that. I think Baltimore takes care of them, and it might be closer than it sounds. It may not be. I don't really know. I know, you know, Baltimore wishes they had Mark Andrews for the playoff run, but that's poor fellow. But No, I think Baltimore takes care of it. Lamar's going to do Lamar things. Um, Likely the tight end that took over the starting role after Andrews went down hasn't been too bad. The defense I think helps him out quite a bit. CJ Stroud, phenomenal quarterback. I think as long as he stays healthy and as long as Houston continues to build around him, they're going to be fine for years to come.
Yeah.
Um, but I think Baltimore too much talent on this one, and should be a fun one. Of course, I think we forgot Green Bay and San Fran. I'm just going to go out there. I think San Francisco is going to take care of business against Green Bay. I think Green Bay had their the fun in the sun, and I think that this week's the sun. Literally, the sun's going to burn them this week in the Bay.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's really not much changing my mind on that one.
No. Question coming in on the DM. If it was not for the Boston sports market, is there another sports market you could see yourself working, or could you ever see yourself going to a smaller market such as Indianapolis, Oklahoma City, etc.?
That's a good question. I like it. I think it kind of depends on wherever life leads me. And obviously it's going to be kind of matter of best job and in a
Mhm.
place that I'd want to live. So if a smaller market gives me a great job and I find my happiness in that little city, then I'll make the move. But I am a little bit spoiled to work in Boston and Atlanta as my first two markets. So
No, I think that'd be smart. I know Oklahoma City. I'm not trying to sell them by any means. Um, of course, you got the Thunder about to get $1 billion arena, whatever. Um, I got my own opinion on that, but it's a phenomenal city. I think it's still, the NFL, which a lot of people don't know that the NFL, and I'm only 35. The NFL in '95, which by the way, guys, if you think I'm that old, I was 7 years old in 1995, so I'm not that old. The NFL in '95 was actually here downtown because that's when the expansion teams of Indy and Jacksonville came about. But I do believe if they had known what the downtown area was going to transform as, I'm not saying they would have got a team. Um, that's not even uncalled for. Um, then I think we could have been in better mix. Oklahoma City would be fine. Okay. Stupid comments. If you're gonna send a DM, please be respectful. I know it's a bot. I'm guaranteed it's a bot, but whatever. Um, but anyway, so no, I think honestly, but Boston, I'm sure is a fun market to be in, which leads to the next question, which I'm really interested on this one. During baseball season, I don't really care much for the Red Sox, and that's fine because the Red Sox don't care much for the Yankees. Who are, if there's even such a thing, who are the most passionate fan base? The Patriots, the Bruins, Celtics, or the Red Sox? If there's even such, I know they're all passionate, but is there that one extra they take it to the next level passionate? Or are you over here trying to you're in between, whatever. Is that one, oh, it's the Bruins, or hey, it's that, is that one extra level passion, or are these guys just cuckoo and craziness for all the teams?
I must say, traveling a good amount growing up, I've been to a lot of different cities. I must say Boston is one of the most passionate cities about their sports I've ever been to, if not the most. And
Right.
that's not me being biased or anything, just they are extremely crazy about their sports, and it is very fun to watch. When it comes to the most passionate fan base, I'm leaning towards the Bruins.
Hmm.
I I mean, they're all very passionate, do not get me wrong.
Right.
The Bruins fan base is the kind that you lose a game and it's just an average regular season game out of the 82,
82.
and
Yeah.
fans are rioting online and are like physically getting sick because of these moments. Like, I haven't
Ah,
seen people so, like, into the sport before and, like, act like it is a part of them until I've seen the Bruins, and, I
Wow.
mean, even going to the games, it's, like, insane the amount of "Let's go Bruins" chants and just every single thing. They kind of bleed the black and gold, and I love it. It is so fun. But yeah, Bruins fans, they will let you know when the team is doing something right, and they'll let you know every single thing about it wrong. And even if it's a 6-0 win, they will still say, "Great win. We're so awesome. This needs to be changed," which I find
Ah,
so funny because of how much they care and how
mhm.
much they don't want to see the team lose.
Yep. Is there a worst fan base if there is one?
Ooh,
I would
I
think
don't
New
know.
See, I would think New England just because of how spoiled they were with Tom, but at the same time, I don't know because I mean, again, you can't knock the history and tradition of any of the franchises. I was kind of wondering if there's a worse fan base than that you just can't please, and it don't matter if they win by 200 points. It's the end of the world for them.
I don't know. I feel like we're all like, all fan bases are very similar across Boston, so I can't say if there's a extreme worst one. Um, yeah, I don't think in my eyes there's a worst one.
I would probably agree on that one. I'm sure that they're all about the same. Next question via the DM. Okay, that's stupid. We're gonna delete that one. Um, I swear. Okay. Nope. Where did you go? There we go. If who would you rather have at quarterback for New England? If you were the general manager, who would you have as quarterback of New England to lead this team with a new look with Bill Belichick leaving the area? Do I even follow you? Because this makes no sense. Leaving the area, but at the same. Oh, I think he meant Bucks. Or would you go after Bucks, not Bucks, Baker Mayfield?
Ooh.
So I'm guessing, long story short, and no, I don't. Okay, neither of us follow each other. I appreciate you watching the show. I'm not trying to be rude. I don't know what I'm trying to make out what you're trying to say. So I'm guessing, is there a quarterback that you would go? Who would be if you're the GM of New England? Who would you go after as quarterback, or would you give Baker Mayfield a look at to be the next starting quarterback for New England?
I mean, I would consider Baker, that's for sure. Really I'm a big fan of Baker Mayfield right now. Um, but honestly, I think what's best for New England is just to get somebody in the draft and
Mm-hmm.
because it's gonna be a long time until we're getting back into the playoff conversation because of how many holes there are that we need to fix.
Oh,
So, start with a young quarterback, build a team around them with some more talented receivers, and just kind of start over, and maybe we'll make a run in a few years, but Baker, as much as I like him, he's in the moment of his career where he needs to be winning now, and that's not New England. So I just don't know if it would be a great match.
no, I'm with you on that. I think New England is more of a. I see a potential Rams. You're just building for the future at this point. But I think New England, if you're like you said, and you nailed it. If you're in the try to win now, I don't know unless New England just goes on spending free. And I don't know what their cap space is and what their room is for 24 and moving forward. But yeah, I would say Buffalo's definitely not, or Buffalo. New England's definitely not. New England's definitely not the best option for Baker because I'm sure that he wants to win pretty soon. Switching gears from football, keep them coming. If of course anything respectful, obviously. Um, Baseball, Yankees and the Red Sox. My favorite rivalry and I still remember the good times in the '90s, and unfortunately when we blew the 3-0 lead, um, you guys got lucky. But but anyway, jokes aside, Yankees Boston rivalry, one of the best in baseball, no doubt. Um, Last season, and I don't know if because a lot of people were just saying it because of the fact that the Yankees really sucked, Boston really sucked, both teams just sucked. It didn't matter who they put out in the field. Neither one, well, at least the Yankees in a way, neither one can probably get a run or at least get a W. We can barely even score last year. This year, um, I ain't gonna lie, I haven't followed the free agency very well just because of football. But I know the Yankees made some moves, and I'm not sure if Boston has yet or not. If they have, I apologize. I'm not trying to take a jab at them.
You.
Few. Um, but a lot of people last year, Danielle, thought that series is dying. Doesn't have that flame, if you will. You know when Roger Clemens and the whole shebang and Pedro Martinez. Um, who did he throw down? He was our. It was during the playoff run. He was the old guy, Don
Mhm.
Zimmerman.
Mhm.
That's Don. I think Don's passed on
Mhm.
now. But anyway, what would you say to those people that do you believe that the Flames kind of starting to die out, or is just simple two teams last year sucked, and hopefully this year we get that series rivalry back, or are we missing that edge in this series?
I feel like while both teams were awful last year and probably aren't going to be great again, being
Right.
realistic at the moves that have been made, um, it's still the Yankees and the Red Sox rivalry. It goes back, and the reason a rivalry is
Hmm.
because of the history behind it and because of those historic games. And while it's not like that anymore, and Red Sox don't really have anybody too notable on their team other than Devers, and yeah, it's the ever-changing world of Yankees Red Sox rosters here, and it's
Hmm.
not the best time for the rivalry. It is still a fabulous rivalry because of the history there, and I haven't seen such a passionate rivalry, I must say, as to when I went to my very first Yankees and Red Sox game, and I realized it. I think it was 2020, 2021. Yeah, 2021, I think,
Hmm.
and it was insane. I was sitting in Fenway Park just kind of mind blown at the different chants happening, and the amount of Yankees fans that were there was very surprising to me. But it hasn't died down at all. I went to the last Red Sox game I went to was a Yankees Red Sox
Hmm.
game, and Red Sox lost. Totally, I'm gonna admit that, but the entire time, Fenway Park was very full. It was almost sold out still
Right.
with a really bad team, and throughout it, the Yankees suck chants and Red Sox sucks chants
Hmm.
was also a thing, um, and which was weird, but there was a lot of Yankees fans there
Oh
specifically
yes.
last time, and it was a great time. Like, it's still a great time. I personally will try to go to a Yankees Red Sox game anytime that I can, anytime I'm free and the tickets are cheap enough. I'll try to go because it is such a historic rivalry, and there's just something about it, and you can talk about that in all sports, like, some rivalries just aren't what they used to be. I mean,
Mhm.
you can talk about the Patriots-Jets rivalry, I guess. It wasn't really a rivalry, it was a blowout, but, like, any of the, I guess, AFC North teams
Yep.
specifically, they've gone through their fair share of bad times,
Hmm.
and there's been very bad Browns Steelers games in the past few years because for a while there, neither team was doing too good.
Yep.
But the games were still so electric because of the history
Hmm.
there and what has happened in past games, and you can't change that. So, despite everything, it still holds a close place in my heart. It's still best rivalry in baseball.
Oh, by far, it's a whole lot better than half these rivalries, and even though I haven't attended a Yankees, Red Sox. You guys are something else on these DMs tonight. This is hilarious. Not in a good way. Uh, but I'm hoping to visit. Really, I visit both Yankee Stadium, even though I don't like the new Yankee Stadium and Fenway Park. But if I had to pick an option because between you have the 20, let's say for example 23, 24. I'm in the new year, Michael. 24 season. You have the option of the Yankees home or the Red Sox home. Honestly, Danielle, I'll say I go Boston just because Fenway Park. You still got the history to it. And then you cross over to the Yankee Stadium, and you got it since 2009. Yeah, 2009. You just don't. It's not the original Yankee Stadium. It was a not to be blasphemous, but if there's a sin in sports, I think that was a sin to tear down original Yankee Stadium. But it is what it is. I would just go that, but no, I think just the fact that both teams died literally last year, and I think you get rid of it. Um, all right, you're just gonna get blocked at this point. Swipe and block. Um, but anyway, so no, the Yankees and the Red Sox series, I think it's still good. Even if they both suck, it just makes it better just because nobody expects high expectations. Talking Red Sox real quick, what are your expectations for the Red Sox this year? Any improvement, or would they just rebuilding off of something?
I have no expectations, and I feel like that's the safe way to go into it. We have Breslow now, which will be
Hmm.
interesting.
Oh yes.
Um, yeah, there's very controversial opinions about him in Boston. Nobody is a huge fan yet, so maybe we'll warm up to him coming up, but I I don't see us really making too much of a difference compared to last year. We're still trying to build up a new team here and fix some of the dumb decisions we've made in the past 5 years. And it's going to be kind of like New England Patriots, another rebuilding season. I think it's going to be a while until we see the old Red Sox, I think. And I think we might be a little bit shocked by them at sometimes, possibly. Maybe they'll do better than we expect, but I can't say that with full confidence. The pitching still needs a lot of work,
Mhm.
and there's so many defensive problems, it's not even funny. So, I can't say I'm overly confident for the year, but we still have Devers. Yay. The only piece of hope I'm holding on to at this point. Other than that, it's kinda rocky.
So what you're pretty much telling me is the Yankees, presuming they can figure out their pitching situation. So pretty much it's just the Yankees and the Red Sox were battling for who's not in the basement then of the AL East.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be the battle
Sweet.
for, who's not gonna be in last place, which still a rivalry then,
Hmm.
still competing.
Well,
So,
see, exactly. You just nailed it. It's a rivalry, and now neither team wants to finish in the basement, and so why not chunk balls at each other's heads and see who gets ejected and how many fights we get.
exactly, makes things more entertaining.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Soto, do something for us, please. Um, as we wind down the show, one last question. The rest I wasn't going to answer. That was ridiculous. One last question as we head to the 5 question hot seat. If it wasn't for the current hire of Jared, um, I can see his last Mayo as head coach of the Patriots, was there somebody that you would have liked New England to hire, or was that the best option going that route?
I I knew we all kind of knew in New England that Mayo would be the next person coming up. However, part of me wanted to see Mike Vrabel come in as
Ooh.
coach. I think it would have been interesting with his past in the Patriots. He
Mhm.
also was just inducted into the Hall of Fame this past season. I feel like his coaching style, I mean, him being fired from Tennessee, by the way, was very shocking to me. I was not
Yep.
really expecting that at all. Um, Went from winning coach of the year 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago to now
Yeah.
being fired, and that just was very appalling to me, and I said, "Hey, we should get him," because I am a huge fan of him. I feel like his coaching style is good. I feel like he would connect well with the players, and I feel like him and Kraft, I think they have a very interesting relationship, I've heard
Mhm.
through the grapevine, but, maybe they'd work on it. I was just, kind of optimistic for that, but I think Mayo moving up is a great move, and hopefully he gets the job done.
And last one for my question. Um, then we'll move is Boston Celtics, if I can talk right. Boston Celtics, a very phenomenal team this year. Saw them in person. What was it? Week 2 weeks now. It's been a while. Hasn't been that long. Down here at the Paycom Center, phenomenal game. You guys brought a lot of fans. I swear to God, I think there was more green than was Thunder Blue. Odds on favorite to make it to the NBA Finals right now as we approach the All-Star break here in what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. Will they
It's
be the
coming up.
odds-on favorite to come out of the East?
I think so, and I feel like com comparing to NFL, I feel like the
Right.
Celtics are in a situation similar to the Bills, as in this is their prove it year, and if they can't get it done this year, I don't know if it will happen. Just because 'cause we've seen the Celtics the past few seasons, and
Mhm.
it's everybody has talked about it the past few playoffs, just, oh, the Celtics, and this could be their year." We got
Yeah.
so close there and just couldn't get it done. However, I feel very confident in this team. Obviously, they haven't lost at home yet, knock on wood, they're playing right now.
Right.
Um, but this team is very electric, and we saw last year's team, they fit well together, and it seemed like they had everything figured out, and then it got to the playoffs and got a little iffy, and their holes were exposed. This year, as much as I loved Marcus Smart, I think him leaving was the best thing for our team. We saw last season little stupid mistakes and things that would just get you, and those
Mhm.
were part of the reasons why we would lose games, such as, like, Jason Tatum being super dramatic after every single time someone touches a pinky onto him thinking that that was a foul, or when he falls down, he doesn't get up immediately and run back, he just lays there for a second, and we're a man down on defense on the other end. We don't see that thing anymore, and that could be Joe Mazzulla drilling into them, but I feel like that would have happened last season if so. I think it was really a lot of mentality. Marcus Smart did not bring out a good side in anybody on that team. They did not fit as well as we thought. While they connected on the court, clearly something was happening behind the scenes, and if you don't fit well as teammates behind the
Mhm.
scenes, you're not gonna get it done on the court, and so I think his attitude was kind of bringing everybody down. As much as he was a great player, him leaving has been very beneficial for us, and we've seen players such as Derek White being able to step up, young leaders. I see this team just working so well together, and I think this could be it, but we'll see. I've felt that way for the past few years, but this is feels different.
Right now, we're headed to the All-Star break, give or take 2, 3 weeks. Your favorites to be the NBA Finals, and what's your percentage of it being Oklahoma City, Boston? And the reason why I got to
I
ask
was
that is because I commented on the Herb and Raj podcast. Shout out to them 2, 3 weeks ago, mentioning Oklahoma City, Boston. Just kind of outsider and kind of see what your percentage on that one. So, who's your favorite to be in the NBA Finals? And then, of course, what's the percentage of it being Oklahoma City, Boston? And be real, Thunder. We're still mad about KD. I'm not, but everybody else still is apparently still mad about KD. It's 10 years now, and we're still mad.
it's funny, I was in the middle of thinking of who I was gonna say, and I was like, "Oh, Thunder," and then you took words right out of my mouth. So, personally, I see Celtics Thunder. Obviously, never know, things will
Right.
change, but right now, I easily could see the finals being them too. I'd feel pretty confident in it. This city, Oklahoma City Thunder team is so, like, young and electric, and
Mhm.
they have the spark in them, and this is what you guys have been waiting for. I mean, all these draft picks and everything have paid off to this moment, so I feel like this is the start of a really long and great run for the Thunder. So,
Y
wouldn't be surprised.
I will, as a season ticket holder, right now the worst. I'm not going to say what the worst case scenario could be, but because if it happens, unfortunately, people do get crazy on social media. But as long as nothing major happens to this team, I think the future it definitely is bright, and I think that this season, I think they can make a big run. They just got to stay in the loop of things. But before we get to our um, alrighty, before we get to our 5 question hot seat, let's go to our proud sponsor. Drink made for people who care about flavor. Visit w.gg. Use the promo code Air Attack Podcast and save 10% on your order. And first things first, we'll start simple and move forward. I'm going to ask the same question from last week, but the last that made me quit. That 3 would be different. Um, if you could, when you've been on the road, what has been the most enjoyable fan base as a visiting fan or journalist?
Ooh.
Either one or both.
That's a good question. Oh, okay. The 2 that come to my mind are the Colorado Avalanche and the Atlanta Braves.
Ooh.
Both great teams. I found the Avalanche have an amazing atmosphere. I find their arena just to be like live of energy. They have a band that plays, like a live band, which is kind of crazy. I haven't seen that one
Mhm.
before in a hockey arena. And they're just really excited to be there, really happy. And nobody taunted me for wearing my Boston jersey, which was good.
That's interesting.
Um, and then the Braves, I feel like they they're a pretty solid fan base, I must say. They've gone through a lot of trouble in the past few years, so,
Mhm.
they're just really excited that their team's doing well, and, once again, nobody taunted me for being a Boston fan, so, those are 2 pluses. If I'm not being taunted, then checks off the box.
Not to, real quick. I went to the American Airlines Arena down in Dallas. I think that's the one, and going to a Devils Stars game. Of course, my Martin Brodeur jersey. And you'd be surprised how many people taunted me. I'm like, we're not even a rival. We're just two simple freaking hockey teams. But whatever. Uh, what is your most whether it's you reporting or whatever? Do you have an embarrassing moment that took place? I know there's one that's pinned. Not really embarrassing, but it's a pretty cool video with Stefan Diggs. But I'll say mine because it happened this morning. It was 20, no, it was 18 degrees when I got up, got to work, leaving for work, and I still have my oh, I don't have it with me. I think it's like 62-ounce Under Armour water jug. Well, anyway, yeah, I don't have it with me. I didn't think much of it. Guess what? It's 18, 19 degrees outside. Guess what I did? I poured it on the windshield. It's completely iced. Didn't think about it till I got in the car, so I had to defrost it all. But anyway, beside the point, is there an embarrassing moment that you have that maybe some may not know or some do know? It's just a little secret.
Oh, let's see. I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty embarrassing person, so, feel like there's a lot that I have to go through here. Um, the Stephon Diggs one, it was cool that he threw me a pass.
That was
However,
pretty cool.
dropping a pass from Stephon Diggs, um, is not the best look. And I wasn't really embarrassed about it, I just thought it was fun until everybody in the New England media and in the Bills media that was there covering the game would walk up to me or walk past me and say, "Oh, you're the girl who dropped the pass," or, "Oh, yeah, that was
Nice.
you, right?" And even the security guards throughout the day would kind of mess with me about that. So, it wasn't the act that was embarrassing, it was the aftermath that was really embarrassing as the rest of the game for the next 6 hours, I was called the girl who dropped the pass from
Ah.
Stephon Diggs. So, I don't know if I'll live that one down in the in the media.
Number 3, I'm gonna take one question credit to Herman Raj, but that's the last one. But number 3, of course, it's 2024, and if nobody knows, you've been sleeping through the first 17, 18 days that we've been in 2024. Of course, it's election year, and not talking politics or anything, but we're gonna pretend, play a simulation role that you are running for president of the United States. It don't matter what party, we just run with it because a lot of people get upset about that too. Um, you're running for president of the United States. What's your slogan of your campaign, and who is your running mate? It can be anybody. It don't matter.
Ooh,
Famous, non-famous. It could be. It's make believe simulation role.
ooh, ooh, man, this could be hard for me to think of. Man, put me on the spot. Okay, so my slogan. Hmm. I'm trying to be creative with this and think fast.
Right.
Oh man, this is hard. Um, I would probably just keep it simple or like make the world a happier place or like a better like I don't want to do the better place, but like a happier
Right.
place I feel like is something we all need too.
Ain't
So
that the truth?
I'll say make the world a happier place. And to stick with the sports theme, I'm gonna choose a sports person for my running mate. And I'm gonna go with somebody that I feel like would make solid decision. Does this have to be realistic? Do they have to be
Or it
from
could be
America?
anybody. Literally, it's whoever you want to be.
Great.
Yep. It's just whoever.
Um, this person I feel like is very calm and has experience leading and, is very good at public speaking, and everything about his charisma would be perfect for a running mate. So I'm gonna go with Patrice Bergeron, previous captain of the Boston
Ooh,
Bruins.
I like that one.
Thank you.
Would Bill Belichick be on your staff, press secretary, anything?
I don't think so. I think I'm gonna have to pass, but I'll appreciate his vote when I'm running.
No, I like that. Um, number 4. Okay, what was that 3? Number 4. I've lost track now. Because I'm thinking Bill Belichick being somebody's press secretary. Number Lord Jesus. Anyway, number 4. You are going to the Super Bowl to watch the. Well, I can't say New England because you probably been there, done that. Have you physically been to the Super Bowl? Let's put it that way.
I have not.
Okay, I'll put it that way then. It don't matter who's playing the Super Bowl. Let's just make it. Who are the 2 worst teams this year? Chicago and let's put. Uh,
Panthers.
Nope. NFC. Let's do Panthers. Let's put Panthers and pay no, because they may check that. It's gonna be non-biased. Panthers, Bengals. Who cares? Um, no Chargers just for the heck of it because they don't coach. Um, let's say it don't matter who's Super Bowl. Just 2 teams playing. Somebody presents you 50-yard line tickets to the Super Bowl, and or one's option. The other option is 25 million. However, for the 25 million, you can't use that to buy tickets back to the Super Bowl. It's either take it or run with it, or give it up and watch the Super Bowl at the 50-yard line. What are you gonna do?
I think I'm taking the money. I
Wow,
think I'm
that's the
taking
third
the
person that
money.
said that because last week was practically I made it to where because they were one a Browns fan, one's a Lions fan, so obviously they haven't enjoyed the Super Bowl at all as a fan, and so they both took the money and split it out and said chooses. Even though that the story was you have to practically can't watch your team play physically in the Super Bowl. So, but with it being New England, like, well, she's probably obviously watching them play in the Super Bowl, so I can't really say that. So, but last one, credit to Herbert Raj because this is a part of their show, but I like how they do it. But work, play, and work, play, and live. Now, the live part is um, is your neighbor. Work, obviously, coworker, and play is somebody that you hang out with. Public, it don't matter, whatever. Um, so your options: Pedro Martinez,
Okay.
um, Paul Pierce. I think of the last one, and then Tom Brady. Who is your work, play, live?
Ooh. Ooh, this is trouble. Okay, I'm gonna ask an addendum question because
Mhm.
this would make a huge difference. Is my neighbor like my neighbor next to me or like above me in the apartments or like where are we?
Next to you, house. We
Great.
can make it
Okay.
house, neighbor.
House.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Because I have to ask that because my thought process is Paul Pierce neighbor,
You
but if he was above me, he's a tall dude, so I don't know. I don't want him stomping around, waking me
Lord
up.
no.
So we'll do Paul Pierce's neighbor. I think Pedro Martinez's work, and then Tom Brady's play. Or wait, live, I
Live.
guess. Yeah,
Same thing. Yeah. Pedro. He'll be an interesting coworker.
would.
I like
I
that.
was kind of thinking about switching to Tom Brady, and I don't know. That was kind of a hard one there, but
I don't think those three, of course, three famous, phenomenal athletes in the Boston area. I don't think you could probably go wrong with a lot of them. I know Paul Pierce would probably be interesting from a lot of standpoints. I know Kevin Garnett. I don't know how Boston ranks him. I know that he helped win a ring with them, but I know a lot of people think of Minnesota. But you passed the test. Congrats.
thank you, thank you.
There's the 5 question hot seat brought to you by Dubby Energy. Check them out. Dubby.gg. Use the promo code Air Attack Podcast. Save 10%. Danielle, it was a pleasure and honor and had a blast talking sports and especially picking your head on Boston, the Boston market. Not to get confused with the restaurant because I know some people were assuming I had somebody from the Boston market actual restaurant on. Sure, she's the CEO. We'll put it that way. So
For sure.
it's good. Danielle, it was a blast. Where can all the listeners find you out on the socials?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter at Danielle DuBois, just straightforward like that on your screen. And then you can follow me at Instagram at Danielle_dub. And in there, both of them have my link tree with anything else that I am possibly on.
There you have it. All the links will be in the bio when the episode drops. This is Aaron Mike. You've been listening to the Air Attack Podcast. We'll see you all same time, same place next week. Remember, this weekend. Oh, forgot. Remember, I didn't say anything. J Bell, the on-air personality of 93.3, the Q from Albuquerque, New Mexico, will be on. So stay tuned, everyone. To have a great weekend. We'll see you all same time, same place. Take care.